I think the key thing is that we're affordable, but we don't compromise on quality. So you're getting the same treatment that you would typically get for 5 times the price from an independent doctor on a high street location. Positive feedback is the best indicator of future performance. And so Bridget and I read every feedback from clients, whether it's internally through the Zenati feedback program or on external domains. And we do these with our team on a daily basis.
We did a survey at the end of the year on how did you find out about us, was one of the questions. And I think it's more than 60% was a friend or family. So, properly trusted, my sister, my auntie, my cousin, whatever. So I think that plays back to the importance of that experience to drive the referral.
Zenoti presents Growth Diaries, the fascinating stories behind the best brands in beauty, wellness, and fitness.
Founded by Alice Sagnier and Bridget Healy, EverySkin Clinic was created with a mission to provide personalized, inclusive, and premium skincare for all. With a unique non-gendered approach, the clinic ensures that individuals of all genders feel welcome and receive the same level of exceptional care. Focused on skin tone inclusivity, EverySkin delivers effective and safe treatments for everyone at an affordable cost today across almost 10 locations. Let's talk to Alice Sagnier and Bridget Healy about breaking barriers in the beauty and skincare industry. Welcome to Growth Diaries, Alice and Bridget. Thanks for making the time to join us.
Thanks for having us.
Great. So I want to start off with the fact that I just read last week before we sat down. Congratulations about your fundraising from Middleton Group, almost for $5 million. So I want to learn more. How was your funding experience for an early stage business, finding the money and the investors?
Yes, we're delighted with our investment and particularly the partners that we've chosen to go with.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been a journey. We've been actually ever since we started the business approached by various kind of private individuals all the way to PE with an interest in investing in the business. It is a high growth industry, so it does attract a lot of attention. But I think for Bridget and I, first wanted to focus on building a scalable business, on professionalizing and consolidating what we were building as a team. And after a few years of seeing that the concept really was working, wanted to make sure that we were partnering with the right institution. And what we really like with Middleton Enterprises is their alignment on our principles of wanting to grow a quality business. So we didn't want to open, 50 clinics in 18 months. We want to take our time, make sure that each of our clinics is profitable and maintains the quality of EverySkin. And second, wanted to work with a partner that had been founder himself. And Jeremy has been a successful entrepreneur, which we're learning a lot from. So it's exciting next phase of growth for us.
Cool. So it seems like you were more particular about finding the right investor, right partner. It wasn't that it was hard to find the capital. It was more
Absolutely
the right partner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we were fortunate in that we had a business model that worked in a growth space. And so it was, more about finding the right growth aspirations and complementary skills to suit our growth.
Great. So before we jump into how you started this business, we'll get to that. I really want you to share, there are a lot of skincare businesses. I'm not sure the world needed one more. So why? Because you just started your business recently in 2021. Why another format and what's so unique about EverySkin?
Yeah, great question. I think in the UK, we saw a gap in the market for truly inclusive skincare and aesthetics. And by inclusive, I think we saw a gap for affordable, locally located for everyone. And for everyone, I think, genuinely thinking about the machines we use, the treatments we offer, the products we offer, and making sure those are really suitable for all skin tones, all skin types. And I think we're also, Alice and I are huge consumers ourselves. We love the space. We love trying different things. And I think we thought that passion would differentiate us against the market.
Yeah. And I think you've also made it quite affordable in terms of how you've designed it. So given your business school background and working in the outside the industry as well, seems like you've done a lot of analysis about the viability and what should the cost structures be for this business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think.
Yeah, and I think that the key thing is that we're affordable, but we don't compromise on quality. So you're getting the same treatment that you would typically get, for 5 times the price from an independent doctor on a high street location, at a fraction of the price, but it's the same treatment delivered by a friendly therapist.
Yeah.
And I think what you can see some of the models in clothing, for example. There's Uniqlo, which is affordable in quality, but it's affordable but doesn't compromise on quality. And I think that's sort of what we thought for aesthetics.
We'd also done some work in kind of adjacent industries in gyms, for example, several years ago that had been disrupted by some of the low-cost players. So I think what Bridget and I have done is spend a lot of time focusing on what is most important in that client journey. It's the quality of the treatment, it's the therapist, stripping out some of the things that don't matter as much in order to provide that more affordable proposition.
Yeah, that's good. So it's like very important when people are starting a business that they're clear about the format being unique and staying true to what you've started. So you both seem to be very clear about what you were setting out to do. And of course, you started this business, I heard, in 2021. I think wonderful time to start a skin business when the stores were shutting down. So we'd love to know, why did you not just give up? I would have thought somebody starting would say, oh, okay, well, I'm glad I'm not doing this. Let's go find something else to do.
Yeah, it was a risk. I think there was the advantage was we saw retail leases at prices that hadn't been seen for a while in the UK. We had landlords that wouldn't normally look at a startup just running over themselves to talk to us. So it did pay off, but we definitely had a moment where we thought there was another wave of COVID coming, and we did think, gosh, this was maybe not a good idea, but it paid off ultimately.
Cool. And then when you started the stores, you didn't just open one store, right? You opened multiple stores at the outset itself. And how did you fund these multiple stores? And why open multiple? Because most people would just say, let's open one, let's make sure it works, and go.
I think we did. We opened our first 6 stores in 7 months, so we went really very quickly. We had conviction in the model. We really had a strong sense that it would work, and there was the demand for it. We wanted to also test a few different areas. We had high street, we had shopping center, we had different levels of affluence in terms of catchment populations. And we wanted to get those on the ground quickly and make use of the opportunity that we saw with the retail leases, as Bridget mentioned, to quickly get the business up to speed. And we raised our initial round with friends and family. So we had a very supportive network of investors, which was really exciting to launch the business.
So to get friends and family to support you so early with just saying, go out and open 6 stores, I mean, it requires them to have conviction. So maybe you should share a little bit about your background, which got you to the point where you had the qualifications to say, yes, we have the credibility to go do this.
Yeah, I think we sort of both brought complementary backgrounds and skills to the business. I've worked for the prior 10 years in management consulting, and then in private equity operations, mainly with retail consumer businesses. I'd spent time with a large Australian-based med spa chain, so had some experience in the industry. And then Alice had...
I just started my career in consulting as well, also for retail operators, primarily in consumer brands. And then I moved to in-house to Fortman Mason, which doesn't sound like the most relevant adjacency, selling tea and biscuits, but actually was. Fascinating brand. I've undergone a lot of rejuvenation in recent years. I actually worked with a lot of my colleagues there to help build the EverySkin brand. So I think, Bridget, with kind of your deep clinic experience, operational experience, and my consumer focus, thought that we could create a really special team together.
And how did you both meet? You met at business school. So you both did the same.
That's right. Yeah, we met at INSEAD
10 years ago.
10, I think it's 11. So yeah, it's a while.
Built the business together. And I've ever since had some terrible ideas, and then kind of parted ways. Went back to the UK, Bridget to Australia, met again in New York, and there we started seeing, I think in the another element that was important in terms of building EverySkin was the different brands that we saw in the US as well. We wanted to disrupt the UK market, both in terms of that accessible proposition, but also in terms of having a more customer-centric brand. And then met again in New York a couple of years, in London a couple of years later, and decided to go for it.
Cool. Well, yeah, it's wonderful to hear your story because it brings all the capabilities together in terms of both the business background, the industry background, and a wonderful friendship looks like where you trust each other and could start this. So you could rally all the resources to really start this business very quickly in 21 to here we are 4 years later, and you already have had good success and results with your brand. That's impressive. So,
Thank you.
yeah. So once you opened these stores, so the first, you said 6 stores and, during COVID times. And so how did you make sure you understood the industry, you understood the format, what you want to offer? How did you find your early clients and make sure that you could actually fill these stores?
So I think in terms of finding the right places to open, so I think we had confidence in the treatments being in demand. We had confidence in the growth of the space and personal care. But we still do this today, we go and spend days and days in particular locations. We get our hair done, we get our nails done, we talk to the local clients or potential clients, we have coffees. So I think it's just that repeat visits, and you really get a sense of, is there a local clientele here that's going to love the EverySkin proposition? And 7 stores in, it's worked.
And I think all that work on getting the right pitch is basically what means that we don't have to do a ton amount of marketing, because our pitches are so prominent and we know that footfall is going to be there, that actually most consumers just find us by walking by our store or hearing about us from a friend and family, which is the one that we love the most, which is great. It means we don't have to go out and spend a ton of marketing money trying to find clients.
Great. So you have a good referral program as well for your
We do. We use the Visionaries friend referral program, which is great. We get a lot of new clients that way, actually.
Cool. So fundamentally, you chose your locations such that you had a lot of footfall and traffic going by, and your research showed that definitely there's a demand in the market for it. There's an underserved segment overall, and I guess that's good research pays off, and rather than run around spending a lot of marketing money struggling to find clients.
The worst thing would be to get the wrong location. Quite stressful, I think.
So I think I do hear this, where getting the right location, even if it's a little more expensive, is better than having more marketing dollars later at a less expensive location.
Yeah, we've definitely found that.
And then as part of that ongoing referral, it's in terms of the sort of playbook, you find the right location, you offer the right treatments, but then you need to keep offering the right quality because these are such local communities. It only takes a few bad experiences for that to. So that's something we are rigorously checking internal feedback.
So when I asked you about metrics, about when I was trying to analyze your business, what do you track? You felt, coming to your question about feedback, that feedback is a bigger thing that you track than all the business metrics and numbers, because I would have expected both of you from business school to be obsessing over numbers and spreadsheets.
I think we take a long-term view, and I think, positive feedback is the best indicator of future performance. And so Bridget and I read every feedback from clients, whether it's internally through the Zanati feedback program or on external domains, and we liaise with our team on a daily basis on those. So
Yeah, so
big focus area.
And the numbers follow. If you get the experience right and being sensible on costs, then we're pretty confident that the numbers follow.
It's often when consumers fill out feedback form, they think nobody's going to read this done.
Yeah.
I'll actually read every feedback, and that's very wonderful to hear, because it is the genesis, as you said, you're so sure about your service, then the quality and experience of the customer is what matters. If you're enjoying the show, we would really appreciate it if you left us a review on Apple Podcasts. It only takes a minute and it helps others find the podcast. You can also follow along on YouTube and Spotify so you never miss an episode.
Not every piece of feedback is going to be brilliant. And I think the other point that's really important for us in our teams is if there's a piece of feedback that isn't as strong as we would like, having that follow-up conversation with a client, bringing them back in for another experience just to show them that care. It always has a good, nice, positive impact as well.
We often call the client as well, certainly in the early days. Good feedback, not so good feedback. We'd want to understand more. I think that's really important.
And with your staff, in terms of tracking performance and all that, you're very transparent about all these feedback numbers. Do they how do they know how are they all doing and all that?
Well, they see it. It's up on their computers. So they've got real-time access to it, and it's important for us to celebrate the great ones. So we have shout outs on Slack or on other internal communication. We definitely reward the great service that we get in the clinics, and if we do need to have a conversation about feedback that isn't at the level that we like, then that happens as well.
Great. And so as you started to now, have you evolved your service offerings, or it is the same menu that you had when you first started?
We've definitely evolved it. So the core remains the same. Laser hair removal is very popular. Our injectables is very popular. I think our skin menu has evolved quite extensively and is a huge focus. It's in the name, EverySkin. It's where we want people to think, for our skincare, that's where I want to be. So that has evolved because I think we've learned more about what our customers want, the kind of requests we get, the kind of concerns. So we're constantly evaluating, reviewing.
And does this evolution of services help you with how much revenue you make per store? I mean, it moving up, so you say, hey, the stores are getting a little more viable now.
I think it's about getting that menu right for each individual store. I mean, all of them have 90% of the same menu, but the little nuances for each of the different clinics to make sure that it's tailored for that catchment area is something that we spend a lot of time on, really assessing. And it's what we spent 2 years after opening the first 6 clinics, spending a lot of time analyzing the numbers, speaking to clients, making sure that we could refine our menu. I think, so that's been incredibly popular, more in terms of getting that loyalty from our clients and getting that repeat spend and that lifetime value up from our clients.
So it seems like really focusing on the local community is a very important element. It can't be just, while you both may seem like, okay, we are out to build a big business, you are very focused locally too, not just say, okay, there's one big brand, we're going to roll it out.
Like I said, I think 90% of the menu is very similar. Getting that 10% improvement in the different clinics have taken more tailoring.
And I think it helps when we still do this. We still spend at least a day a month on front desk in the different locations, and that's the best way of understanding what a customer in that location is looking for and their approach.
Yeah, I used to, there was a long time before Zenody, I used to actually run a spa, and I've also spent a lot of time at the front desk, and that's the best way to know what's going on.
What's working, how are the staff doing.
So I used to, and also it helps me to have more empathy for my staff, because it's like sometimes I can easily say, hey, this should have been done better, but okay, if you go try doing it yourself and show me how you can do it better, right? So,
absolutely.
You get a real sense of the pain points that if the internet's down, if you're in head office, you're thinking, the internet's down, why are they complaining? If you're out there trying to put in notes and you're like, oh, the internet's down.
Great. So I love your brand name, EverySkin, and I've seen on your website as well, you use, whether it's the models or photography, it's skin of different types, and really reflect on inclusivity. Can you expand more how you've tried to make, whether it's your brand, whether it's your spaces, to feel very inclusive, and what have you done in this space?
Yeah, it's exactly that. We wanted our brand and all touch points of the proposition to feel inclusive. So whether that's how we talk about our treatments, the openness of the brand, we're going to be honest with what's going to work, what's probably not going to work, how we train the team to work with all different skin types, all budgets, all skin tones. We wanted our spaces also to have the right balance of reassuringly clinical but warm. Just to encourage customers to just pop in. You don't need to book an appointment, just pop in. We'll always try to see you, or at least give you 5 minutes of advice on the front desk if that's what we have time for. But it's about that openness and that inclusivity. And we've really spent a lot of time working with different creators and different marketeers or communication specialists to make sure that we're able to get that message across all the touch points.
And I think it's in our staff too. I think our staff, you look at our leaders and they reflect London. It's an incredibly diverse city. So are our team. I think that's important to understanding concerns.
Yeah. And then critically, of course, our menu. We only work with suppliers where we know that the treatment is going to work, but also be as effective on all skin tones, for example. And that is not something we'd compromise on.
Great. And so you didn't just, normally people would just build some spaces, make them look nice and open the store, but you were very particular about design and all that. In fact, you had a very specific designer from Fortnum. Maybe you should give some context on that, because it's rare that a startup would go pick a very nice designer to come design.
And probably it's strange that, a spa would work with a retail design specialist. But again, that was all about encouraging that openness and making the spaces welcoming enough that you just come in. But yes, Olivia was the Fortnum & Mason store design director. I worked with her for many years. She built beautiful spaces that also worked well from a retail perspective. And we wanted to bring her in.
And she was brilliant because she even asked, because we gave her the brief, this needs to be, the name's EverySkin, this is what we're going for. And one of her first questions was, well, have you thought about how different lighting affects different skin tones? We're like, gosh, what a great question. She's a very, very thoughtful designer.
Yeah. So we actually worked with lighting specialists to work on what lighting would make all skin tones feel comfortable on our faces. So it's a little detail that you might not notice as well.
Yeah.
That makes our...
Yeah, someone who's designed like Fortnum & Mason spaces would obviously have the hip inch.
Exactly. Her focus on the whole experience is amazing. So we're really, really grateful to be able to work with her on EverySkin.
Cool. So I get the color in terms of how you had the right backgrounds, right experiences, good design of us. Of your offering and, spaces and locations, and the spaces start getting filled up. But this is a people business, you have to find the right staff. And, how did you go about finding, you said you both came from different, you were in Australia, you were also moving around, you were in New York and then, came back. So
yeah, I think the initial stores was very much, we advertised on Indeed, so the local platform here. And then we did a really hard sell. So we interviewed personally every single team member. We shared the vision. We tried to sell the dream, I guess, at that point. So the first 3 were difficult to hire for, definitely. And then I think when people started, potential team members started to experience it, they saw the stores, we invest in nice staff rooms, for example, and have proper kitchens and things like that. Then it started becoming a bit easier.
Employee experience is something that we feel very passionate about as well. There's an employee experience. We've talked a lot about the customer experience, but also, we both work with retail businesses and wanted to create something that our team would be really proud to work for. So things like internal promotions are really important for us. Our regional manager started in one of our clinics. We've got a lot of progression throughout. We work very closely with them in terms of kind of the development and training, and Bridget's point, kind of whether it's the staff rooms or the other parts of their experience that are important to them. Because we spent a lot of time really thinking that through before we opened EverySkin. And whilst it was difficult at first, for sure, to open, it was also COVID. It was, I think that's paid off over time. But now we've got good retention and good referrals in terms of staff bringers as well, though.
Yeah.
Cool. That's good. Yeah, I think this whole notion of back rooms or staff spaces, usually real estate space is so constrained that they're often ignored. So
but it makes a huge difference, isn't it? When they're so incredibly busy with clients back to back during the day, having that break in a space where they can properly have a moment to regain their energy is.
And again, this does come from, if you do that front desk or that you experience what it's like to be on the floor, you get it. It's a tough job, and I often think this skill set, it's quite a difficult role. Doesn't necessarily get the respect that it deserves. So we try. We can't get it right all the time, but we do try.
Great. So now that you have these stores and you've also raised the funding, what do you see as the next steps for the business? I mean, because you have the money in the bank, you're going to go do something with it.
It's not as easy now. It's not COVID. Everyone's asking for too much on the leases. No.
Well, we just opened our 7th clinic. 6 weeks ago, which is going well. And really the next step is opening some more clinics in London. We've got a very clear list of where we want to be, and we're now on the pavements looking for those sites. So expecting hopefully a few more clinics this year and beyond.
Cool. But you're planning to stay in London for now, or is there going out of London?
For the immediate term, focus on London, but we'll want to venture outside of London.
And I think I've seen that fairly often where a lot of good businesses get density in a small place, do very well, build vibrancy because marketing and all the investments of employees and movement of employees, everything is a lot easier. And making a choice to go to another city is like a big choice. It's like, if you're going to go, then you have to go and say, let's open a bunch of them in Manchester now or something.
And our clinics are not franchised. So we own and manage all of them. We want to maintain that quality, which we spoke about earlier in the conversation. And I think that's why kind of that focus on that measured growth is right for us.
Well, I think Manchester would be a good spot. To your point, Sudheer, you have to go properly.
Yeah.
It's not just one here, one there. It's thoughtful.
Yeah, exactly.
You spend proper time there.
Yep. So it looks like you're going about it in a very methodical way. So I'm sure it's going to be worked out right well.
Always wild cards, but yes.
Coming back to the staff thing, we talked about, of course, how did you go about hiring and attracting the talent, etc., and all those aspects. But as they have been with you, you've been around for now 4 years in terms of employee retention, and how do you approach that? How do you see making yourself an employer of choice so they don't just leave because it's a competitive industry?
It's a great question. I think our retention, luckily, is very good. I think the main drivers of that are the thought we've put into the employee experience. So most days, reasonably pleasant, we think. But I think also it's that internal promotion. So there is opportunities, and it's one of the reasons that we thought growth was also the right thing, so that we can keep providing that pathway for younger team members or team members who've advanced with us to keep growing. And then I think also we are pretty flexible. So we acknowledge we have an entirely female workforce. There are mat leaves, there's caring responsibilities, life goes up and down, and we try as best as we can to accommodate that and see this as a long-term career rather than an hourly staff. Yeah.
I think that's another benefit if you're in one city and growing, it does create growth opportunities for people, which is accessible. Yeah. If you're all scattered everywhere, then the employees won't get accessibility to that growth opportunity because it's not concentrated. Yeah.
Exactly. And we really saw it with our latest clinic. We had a couple of team members asking to move to that clinic, really exciting about setting something brand new up. And excited to continue offering those challenges to more team members.
Yeah. When you launched your brand, of course, we discussed about all the practical things which actually drove the business. But how much do you think things like social media and digital platforms help you with your business, or is it, really, it's a smaller portion overall?
It does. We are present on social media. We do some advertising on it. We have small followership on it. It is definitely a way that some clients find out about us. Interestingly, it's where a lot of our very engaged clients are. So they're following us. They're asking questions about the treatments and the different offers we have on promotion. So it is definitely a way that people find out about us, but it's not the main way. We're more of a high street discovery.
Yeah, and it's interesting, I think, because we're a small chain, but we're more of a local business that happens to have a few. And I think with influencers, for example, the most successful ones have always been local community influencers that have a smaller followership, but more engaged followership. And I think we're seeing that trend of local become even more exacerbated, I think.
Like for your business, given the focus and the quality of experience and everything, I don't know if you have any number you can share about what kind of referrals do you get? Because referrals could be a great way, because I have a great experience, I'm going to share it with my friends, and that's probably because this is an emerging space with so many options, Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to support the podcast, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps spread the word. You can also subscribe on YouTube and Spotify to stay connected.
It has been, but I think to your point, we get approached by influencers to try to collaborate with us on a very regular basis. We tried it a little bit. Some with several million followers that actually it didn't have an enormous impact, whereas some with, 20,000 followers, but super local to Wood Green Clinic, for example, had a much better impact. And I think with these kinds of treatments, again, it all comes back to trust and who you're getting that referral from. And what we found is we get actually more from friends and family recommending these treatments. So we do it a little bit, but luckily we actually find we don't need to do
It was something that we did a survey at the end of the year on how did you find out about us, was one of the questions. And I think it was more than 60% was a friend or family. So, properly trusted, my sister, my auntie, my cousin, whatever. Yeah, so I think that plays back to the importance of that experience to drive the referral so that you keep.
So that means, see, this industry, I think it's good to have a good referral program for friends and family because it motivates the right behavior and you're saying if half your customers come through hearing through friends and family, etc. And that's a very insightful observation. That is, rather than a very big influencer, a local influencer to your community, it may be more powerful for you than I didn't think of that, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the culture as well. I think that's in sort of London localities and our brand. Equally, I've got a friend who's got a business in South Korea and influencer everything, influencer marketing, you need the millions and millions of followers and that. So I think it really depends, kind of business.
Okay, I want to switch to a few personal kind of questions. Just let's see which ones you like or don't like, and we can always choose. So you both went to school together. Is there a book or something which stood out, or a professor or a course which shaped you, which helped you build some belief systems?
So actually, I've thought of this one more and more. I took a family business course, even though I don't have a family business, but I was fascinated by the dynamics of that. And I think we don't have a family business as such, but we do have a very close friendship. And I think that's been quite interesting, reflecting on, managing a personal relationship with a business relationship.
I'd probably say the course that I found most useful was this organizational behavior course that we found, and just the importance of culture on a business. And I'm really glad that we spent that time, we still do, in the business building the culture that we wanted, because it takes time. You can't just say, I want my business to be like this. It comes down to action and execution, and putting that time in, I think, has been really valuable.
Yeah. Great. I think you're still early stage, but you're very focused and clear about culture. And of course, you're building business with intent. But as you grow it, I've heard other business people talk about saying the growth was really about culture, nailing the culture down and knowing how to speak about it, articulate it, and live it every day.
We're very conscious of that, which is what I think we love, that internal progression as well, and having our team members that, many have been with us from day one, growing with us and continuing to kind of lead the business's growth with us. Is something we're very passionate about.
So you must have looked at a lot of brands, case studies. Is there a brand that you both admire or love?
I mean, I'd probably say, and I was very lucky enough to work there, but Fortnum's is one of my favorites.
It's good.
And I think it's been around for over 300 years, its ability to reinvent itself. And I think make something as simple as tea and biscuits so experiential and so exciting. The longevity that we saw in the clients there. I mean, there are clients that were coming back for 20 years of, coming every Christmas. And I think that's quite powerful brand.
Nice.
I think for me, there's a shout out to an Australian business, Mecca, which is a skincare brand. It's now, I think they've got hundreds of stores. The founder has the most brilliant vision for that business, and she's very, very true to it. You saw Sephora come in, she stuck her ground, she's managed to beat them, the sort of David and Goliath type battle, and just brilliant. Keeps ahead of the trends, beautiful store spaces, and obsessed with the customer, which I think is really important.
And if somebody was starting off a new business, we're talking of other brands today, any advice you would have for them in the industry?
That's a good question. Get yourself a good co-founder, probably. It's quite a journey. Let's say probably go for it, go build something, don't rely on anyone else, go and get it done.
I think similarly, don't start a business expecting to sit in an office working on strategy. You go start a business if you like speaking to customers, managing a team, being in a store, because no one can do that work for you at the start, at least.
Yeah. Looking back in your last 5 years, would you have done anything differently?
We would have taken more leases during COVID. That's front of mind at the moment.
The toughest times are the best times to start a business, seems like.
100%.
Yes, absolutely. That's a good question. I think that's probably the same answer.
Yeah. Now leases have gone up and you're looking for...
And now we're trying to grow more. Like, used to be cheaper.
And so other than, of course, you both seem pretty committed, focused, and it's wonderful to see, by the way, we didn't prepare for it, but you both, kind of complement each other very well. You're not talking on top of each other, not repeating, it's just natural. We have not, it's beautiful to see that. So obviously.
Yes, we often get asked, are you still best friends? We actually are.
We spent a lot of time together in a good way.
But what do you do outside of work from a relaxation or other hobbies perspective?
Well, I had 2 young children, so I spend a lot of time with them. My husband, and I do a lot of sports, do a lot of Pilates to relax. So I think it's really important to make sure you have that discipline around a couple of things for yourself.
Yeah.
And for me, it's probably sports and family.
Yeah, great.
I think for me, it's probably nature, getting out of London. We spend a lot of time in very busy part of the world. I think my husband and I love being outside in the countryside, in nature, in the calm, so you can re-energize and come back in, which is nice.
Yeah, you both seem to have a wonderful business, and thanks for making the time for the Growth Diary. And I think the manner in which you've been able to balance your personal lives, you have kids,
Not all the time.
do all this is impressive, and I'm sure it's very inspirational for others who are out there. How do they manage that kind of thing? So,
Well, thanks so much for having us.
yeah.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Growth Diaries is brought to you by Zenoti,